Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I want to talk in this video about fighting back against the evil in the world, how we do it, why we should do it, and when to start doing it, which is now. There's no more time to wait to access your potential and try to create a better outcome in this world, folks. You have within you the ability to move mountains if you only remembered. You see, the system doesn't want us to remember our power, our subconscious power. The power of our minds when it isn't stamped full of and filled full of all the filth that the New World Order has put into the collective consciousness, the mass mind of humanity. You see, whether you believe it or not, or whether or not you're aware of it, we are one giant mind collectively. And when we are all in tune with one another, when we are all free from the New World Order poison, the parasitic system, we have the power to achieve anything beyond our wildest dreams, you name it. But we're so far from that, and we're so lost and caught up in the poison that it's going to take a significant leap and a significant push in the right direction for the mass weight of humanity to catch on to the truth of this. So there is a dehumanizing system and agenda right now, and it's been here for hundreds of years, folks. This system is trying to alter the proper trajectory of human evolution. They want us to not spiritually evolve. They do not want us to attain a Christed state of consciousness. You see, they don't want us to clean up this mess that they've made. They don't want us to get past the muck, the mire, whatever you want to call it. So there are billions and billions and billions of dollars spent every year to ensure that you are filled full of toxins and metals and additives and synthetics and, rancid vegetable oils. There is an agenda to keep you deficient. This is why gluten is in everything. This is why the bottom of the food pyramid is whole grains and wheat and pasta and things that contain gluten. Gluten shuts off your digestion. It destroys your microvilli. It destroys your villi in general. It destroys your ability to absorb nutrients. That is the genius of the food pyramid in terms of it being a diabolically ingenious piece of bullshit, outdated dietary recommendation, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's disgusting if you really think about it. It's disgusting. I'm not here to mix my words softly and, it's just the food pyramid. People were trying their best to make us healthy. No, they want us on a high carb, low fat diet, and they want us eating vegetable oils and gluten. And gluten destroys your ability to digest foods because it destroys your small intestine, the health of your intestinal tract. And it's because of a particular protein in gluten known as gliadin. Gliadin is one of two major proteins in the gluten family, and gluten is a family of proteins that is found in grains and starches, you name it. But this particular gliadin protein, you guys, wreaks havoc on the digestive system, increases inflammation massively. It's a neurotoxin. It damages the brain. It damages the tissues. And let me tell you, gluten intolerance and sensitivity is in no way, shape, or form just linked to the small intestine. It does absolutely destroy your ability to absorb nutrients from other foods because gluten, again, destroys your villi. It destroys the absorptive tissues of your digestive system. But it's not just gluten's dangerous constituents or dangerous deleterious effect is not just, strictly related to the digestive system. It attacks the brain. It attacks the psychology. It makes people worrisome. It makes people anxious. It makes people uncomfortable and not confident in their own skin. Gluten is related to autism and psychosis. Gluten is not good for the bones, folks. It's linked to osteoporosis. Gluten is not good for your liver. There's a reason why the bottom of the food pyramid is the way it is. And the average American eats over 130 pounds of wheat a year. And wheat is just one particular constituent that has gluten in it. What about all the rye, the barley, the spelt, the couscous, and the semolina flour, and just all the bullshit, you guys? 130 plus pounds a year the average American eats of wheat. And it's not the non-hybridized, non-genetically engineered wheat that our ancestors ate sparingly. No, it's commercially grown garbage wheat filled full of glyphosate, pesticide, herbicide, larvicide, insecticide, fed with chlorinated water, you name it. There is an agenda here. So how do we fight against this, folks? Well, first and foremost, we stop ingesting the known poisons that are oh so much fun to consume. I know so many people who are against what's going on here, who know the truth about these foods, yet they still consume them. You see, and that's part of the mind control. There's a Stockholm syndrome involved in all this. There is a psychosis from all of the shit that we're exposed to. Our environment largely dictates our health, folks. Again, our environment largely dictates our health. Now, that's not an excuse to say that, oh, these people shouldn't, every act of violence and insane behavior is justified. No, because regardless of your poisoning and the disgusting environment that you live in, you still have discernment. And that's really how we stop the New World Order in its tracks. That's how we stop, ladies and gentlemen, or that's how we start fighting. We stop making excuses for everything. We stop making excuses for everything. Let me just move my truck, because it's got all these people that like to congregate, like some gang stalking event, around my vehicle whenever I make a video. So let me just move my car. That's really how we stop these fucking people in their tracks, folks. We learn to use discernment and we stop making excuses. You're never going to be able to stop what's going on here if you can't use discernment, if you can't learn to see through the bullshit, if you cannot learn to see through or read between the lines. You see, a lot of people are caught up in this haze, and they choose to be stuck in the haze. All of their instincts are going off the radar. People know that something's wrong here, but they don't listen to their instincts. We've got to learn to listen to our instincts. And our instincts are saying that there is a weaponized system, a dehumanizing agenda that's threatening the continuity of our health and our well-being and the well-being of our offspring and their offspring, our entire genetic lineage and what comes to in the future, and you name it. You see, more and more people, a lot of people know that something's wrong here, regardless of how deep it's buried in their psychology. And a lot of people are terrified because we live in a predatory, self-consuming system. There is a hierarchical system of evil here that is using humans as an experiment, a genetic experiment. And a lot of people, you see, people aren't stupid. People may be polluted. People may be filled full of glyphosate and toxic residues, you name it. Gotta move my vehicle again. Too hot in this spot. Excuse me, guys. But more often than not, I mean, if you can sit down with a person and really dig through their barriers and their safety systems, they know what's up. They know that something's wrong here. They know that we're being lied to. They know that there's shit in the water. So we have to have discernment. We have to be able to accept truth and want the truth, regardless of how damaging it is to our current fragile belief systems that we use to navigate in this dimension, to maintain some type of false sanity. I hope that makes sense. We have got to use discernment. We've got to look for the truth, and we have to want the truth, regardless of the psychological consequences, regardless of how much it poses a threat to your ego and your perceived safety here in hell. So we reject the poison. We stop consuming the gluten. We stop consuming the vegetable oils. We get rid of the processed carbohydrates. We start to grow our own food. We start to try to look for farmers and ranchers to buy our food from. And, we try to stop buying things from stores. We start sprouting our own foods. We start growing our own foods, our own fruit trees, citrus trees, potatoes. We start learning how to can foods and take care of ourselves. We start to learn how to make our own medical equipment. We start to prep for disasters. This is how we start to fight back, ladies and gentlemen. We start to build. We start to buy land. We create a sphere of influence in our own world that does not resonate with the evil sphere of influence that's trying to terraform us to configure to its configuration. I hope that makes sense. We build what we believe to be right in a world of wrong. That's all that we can do, folks. We take care of ourselves. We become our own physicians. We realize that food is indeed medicine. And medicine is indeed food. Far too long have we sat under the wing of this parasitic entity and let it control our lives. And do you know why it controls our lives? Because we learn to depend on it. We learn to keep coming back to it. Because for as evil as we know it is, and be honest with yourselves, there's parts of it that you like to exploit. There's parts of it that you like to take advantage of. The convenience of fast food, the convenience of the 24-hour stores, the convenience of all the bulk garbage food, the convenience of it, the fun, the thrill of going out to dinner, all of this stuff. And I'm not trying to tell you to never engage with the Matrix, folks. I'm trying to tell you that we have got to learn to depend on ourselves. We're seeing right now in multiple parts of the world what happens when disaster hits, and it's pretty evident that most people aren't prepared. Do you have food ready for 6 months? Do you have water ready for 6 days? Do you? Do you have blankets? Do you have the ability to stay warm if something were to happen? Do you have a fireplace? Do you have medical equipment? Do you have NSAIDs? Go to the Dollar Tree and you can buy cheap medicine there. Do you have medical equipment? Do you have coagulants? Do you have blood clotters? Do you have the ability to filter river water or stream water? These are all questions that we have to ask ourselves, and it really says a lot about who we are when we take an inventory on how prepared we are to live in a stone age if it was initiated like that, and it can happen overnight. We're seeing what happens, and we're seeing what happened right now with that. We're seeing, if I can fucking speak today, we're seeing proof of the fact that we can go into a stone age immediately right now with what's going on in Texas. People don't have water. They don't have the ability to stay warm. You name it. So again, a lot of people are against the system, but they depend upon the system, because what happens when the system stops providing them heat and water and supplies and food? Well, people end up dying, unfortunately, folks. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form judging the people in Texas at all. I think it's horrible what's happening, and I think that it's being exploited by the powers that be. What I'm trying to say is, folks, is that if you really want to fight back against this evil, you've got to learn to be able to live without it effortlessly. Now, there's certain pieces in my life that I haven't figured out completely, and that we all rely on the Matrix to some extent. Don't lie. It's what pays your paychecks. So we're all in a situation where we're trying to find out how to live without this parasite telling us how to live. We are all resisting this. There's a good chance that if you've made it this far in this video, you are active and proactive in trying to create a better world, and I nod my hat to you. Let's all put our hands together. Let's all put our minds together and try to resist this beast, because this beast is indeed right now, ladies and gentlemen, trying to completely dehumanize this world. They want up to be down. They want left to be right. They want 2 + 2 = 7. They want to confuse us into this mass Stockholm syndrome, where the fabric of our lives that we used to hold so dearly is a thing of the past, like a distant memory. I refuse to accept this change. I refuse to accept this portal that they all want us to walk into. So again, we fight back by building, by buying land, by growing our own food, by supporting local farms and ranches, people that grow food in the area around you. Instead of buying eggs from the store, you buy them from someone in your neighborhood. You get to know the people that your food comes from, and you try to generate your own food. Now, I haven't figured this out completely, and I'm not perfect, but my God, at least I'm trying, and at least you're trying. The efforts that we make on a collective level are producing growth on these trees that we've metaphorically planted. Every little act that we initiate, every little thing that we sustain to try to make the world a better place, to make our health better, you name it, whatever it is that you're doing with your time, we are producing fruit on the vines. It might be a slow production, and it might be very challenging at times, because the weight of the world makes it the weight of the world makes it seem like regardless of what you do, you're not having an effect on the world. That is not the case. I hope that makes sense. So long story short, we fight back against the evil by building. I saw a beautiful Instagram live, and I can't remember the guy's name, where he talked about this, about how we build, we become proactive, we support local farms and ranchers, local food production, We stop going to the stores. We stockpile things that we need to keep ourselves safe. That's all we can do, ladies and gentlemen. We have to peacefully reject this system by creating our own isolated sphere of influence in this mad world where we buy our land, where we grow our food, where we do our best to not depend on this insane world. We'll talk more about this in the near future, you guys. I love you all, and may peace be with you.